who have pummeled our prisons and crashed our courts, leaving victims to pay the price.
Clearly our toxic Tory Robert Jenrick isn't a happy bunny. Well, what happened here? Well, you'll have to wait until the end to see the full-on hypocrisy of our honest Bob. But there was an urgent question about sentencing council guidelines, and it was left to the Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State for Justice, Sir Nicolas Dakin, and I will summarise what he said yesterday because it was kind of boring. But he did say that the Sentencing Council, an independent body, has consulted the previous government on a revised version of the imposition guideline, which includes new guidance on pre-sentence reports. The consultation lasted from November 2023 to February 2024, and the previous government responded on the 19th of February 2024, where former Sentencing Minister Gareth Bacon expressed gratitude for the revisions and fuller guidance on the circumstances in which courts should request a pre-sentence report. Now, the Lord Chancellor expressed her discontent with the guideline and agreed to provide a more detailed position in writing before the guideline comes into effect. The Lord Chancellor's meeting with the Sentencing Council chair was constructive, and the Lord Chancellor will provide a more detailed position before the guideline's implementation. Well, our honest Bob, who resumed his leadership bid again, announced that the new two-tier sentencing rules will come into force in 14 days, dividing citizens based on skin colour and religion. And these rules will undermine the rule of law and destroy confidence in the criminal justice system. The Justice Secretary appears clueless, as she has not assessed the additional pre-sentence reports and the impact on the probation service. If the Justice Secretary wanted to stop two-tier justice, she would have supported my bill on Friday and used her powers to sack the drafters. Then the Justice Secretary supports two-tier sentencing rules and supports a group claiming the criminal system is racist. And she refuses to block or sanction the Sentencing Council, implying the Labour government is pursuing two-tier justice to bolster her boss, two-tier Keir. Well, our Sir Nicolas replied with, Labour governments often have to address the issues left by previous Conservative governments, such as clogged courts, overflowing prisons and overworked probation service. The Lord Chancellor met with the Sentencing Council last Thursday and agreed to provide a more detailed position in writing, which will be considered before the guidance comes into effect. The Conservatives were consulted and welcomed the guidelines during their time in office, as evidenced by the former Minister for Sentencing's letter of welcome to the Council on February the 19th, 2024. The process in place now needs to proceed without preempting it. Well, after Andy Slaughter said that the Shadow Justice Secretary's involvement in the political arena without good cause degrades both the Sentencing Council and himself, up stood Lib-Dem spokesperson Josh Babarinde on this, and he laid into our honest Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to think that we all believe in equality under the law in this House on sentencing matters and otherwise, but it's clear that two-tier justice has existed in our country, having been governed by two-tier Tories who thought they could get away with illegal number 10 parties while the rest of us told to stay at home. Two-tier Tories like the Shadow Justice Secretary who unlawfully approved a development for his donor. Two-tier Tories who have pummeled our prisons and crashed our courts, leaving victims to pay the price. So can the Minister tell us how he will reform sentencing in England and Wales to protect the victims and survivors so let down by the Conservatives?
Minister.
The honourable member is perfectly right to underline the importance of equality before the law, and he gives me the opportunity to give a plug to the review of sentencing, the independent review of sentencing being conducted by David Gauke with an independent panel which will address the issues that he's raised.
Two-tier Tories, I do like that. Not too sure about the half-mast pants though. Which washing line did you pinch them off, Josh? Rishi Sunak's back garden. But I do totally agree with him about our honest Bob's very dodgy past. But it didn't end there, though. Clearly, our honest Bob's bruised ego couldn't handle the fact that a number of MPs from either Labour or Lib Dems kept calling out his nonsense for what it really was, to show his leadership credentials for the membership base, I suppose. So he had another go, didn't he? Point of order on his Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Minister has repeatedly told the House during the course of this urgent question that the previous government approved these guidelines, and in particular he besmirched the name of my honourable friend, the former sentencing minister, the member for Orpington. What he said to the House today was wrong, and was said so by the Sentencing Council in their letter to the Justice Secretary herself of the 10th of March of this year. Page 4, paragraph 4, the Sentencing Council made perfectly clear that the guidelines that were published under his government were materially different to those that were considered by the prior government. In fact, his own official was present at the very meeting of the Sentencing Council at which this version of the guidelines was signed off. Would he take this opportunity to correct the record? Because I'm afraid he's misled the House not once, not twice, but on numerous occasions today, and that's quite wrong.
Order. Nobody misleads the House. Inadvertently misled the House. I presume it was inadvertently misled the House.
Oh, I do hope it was
Inadvertently. Right. Minister.
I don't believe I inadvertently misled the House, Mr. Speaker.
Let us move on. That completes
The absolute front of our honest Bob to accuse others of lying and demand that they correct the record. And again, like last week, our honest Bob has conclusively proved that this is not a serious party of opposition, either. This man who's basically still in campaign mode for the leadership for a party that is just not a serious party at all, either. Because he knows that our gaff girl's on borrowed time now, isn't she? And the thing is, I've watched a lot of House of Commons since the election, and it's obvious that the Lib Dems smell Tory blood now. And while they're trying to win back reform votes, they'll be losing more votes to the Lib Dems, won't they? And we've seen over the last few months where our kamikaze bad enough, has been basically dying on her arse in PMQs, and then we see Ed Davey basically show how it's done. The thing is, our honest Bob is just like the party of opposition now. They're just an absolute joke, aren't they? But what do you guys think? Let me know down below, and if you enjoy everything House of Commons and Select Committee meetings, give us a like and subscribe, and I shall bid you farewell and take care, my friends.